Good afternoon. I'd like to thank you all for having us today. I mean, when I say that we're thankful to be here, I speak for my entire community and student body, as well as the teachers and administration. So in order to get to this point, to be 12-1 in the season and playing in the semifinal, it takes the commitment from a lot of people, and we're very thankful to have the support of our administration, our teachers, support staff, our parents, and last but not least, the assistant coaches, and most of all, the kids. They've got the job in January. And you know, from day one, the kids have bought in, and they really have been receptive. And in order for us to get to this point, you know, they've had to sacrifice. You know, we have some individuals who are getting recruited, and they could have easily put their individual goals and aspirations ahead of the team. But what they did was they sacrificed for each other, and for that, I speak for the staff that we're very grateful for those young men to sacrifice and to get us to this point. Last week we had a thriller, as they would say. We really were not at our best, but a lot of that has to do with the job that East Ascension did. So they deserve a lot of credit for playing a really good game. Things didn't always look great. I believe it was 6 minutes to go. I think we were down 9, and the kids, they have what you just can't teach, and that's the will to win, and they refuse to lose. And whenever you have guys to step up in moments of high pressure moments and keep their poise and really rely on each other and make the plays, winning plays. You know, sometimes you're not going to be at your best, but when it counts, if you're able to be at your best, that's the mark of a champion. And so we also talk to them about that in life. You know, sometimes you won't be at your best, but whenever it's crunch time, whenever your family depends on you, whenever it's very important moments in your life, and you have to come through for your team or your family, it's incumbent on you to do so. So this week we traveled to West Monroe, who's a perennial power, Class 5A. We are very familiar with this opponent. We visited there week 1. That was our only loss of the season. It seems so long ago, but you know, they won't change. They're one of the premier programs in the state for a reason, and you know, our kids understand the message that if you want to be considered to be one of those premier programs, if you want to be considered to be you know, one of the top programs in Louisiana, then you have to be able to compete and be at your best in big games. And so whoever you play in the semifinal week, it's going to be a tough football game. And so in order to be a champion, you're going to have to deal with the usual suspects. And you know, in Class 5A, it's going to be Acadiana, Destrehan, Zachary, West Monroe. You know, these teams will always be hanging around. And in order to be a champion, you have to be able to beat them. And so our kids have prepared. They're focused, and it's going to be our job to go and represent ourselves the right way. Because the first game, quite frankly, we didn't represent our school or our community the right way. And so we're looking forward to the challenge. It will be tough, but it's supposed to be.
And if you have a question, raise your hand.
Coach, with that being your only loss, was that a motivation to get through this quarterfinal game, knowing that you could go and avenge that loss to West Monroe?
Well, I think that kind of worked against us a little bit. I would be not telling the truth if I didn't feel that there was some looking ahead on our part. And when I say that, that's by no means wanting to diminish the job that East Ascension did. But I do believe that there was some of that, and whenever a team looks ahead, you also have that's a recipe for disaster, and you also have the ability to get beat, and so, it almost cost us.
They beat you soundly the first time. Why do you think you can beat them this time going there?
One more time?
The first time I said, why do you think you can change that the next time this coming Friday night?
Well, in my Monday PowerPoint presentation to the team, we reviewed the game, and after we reviewed the game, we realized that John Ehret beat John Ehret, and it's incumbent on us to make West Monroe beat John Ehret.
Thing nobody in the rest of the state gives you a chance. That's something you probably like or relish. I got to believe you use that, right?
Believe it or not, that has not been said. It's kind of understood, but what we've been focusing on is executing our game plan and focusing on the things that we need to do better, as opposed to trying to get pumped up for them. What we need to do is just represent ourselves the right way, and that's in all three phases of the football game.
Hey, Coach, I haven't had a chance to see you play, but I've heard that your offensive and defensive lines are really big guys. Talk about your lines, and are any of them getting recruited by LSU?
Well, none of our guys up front are being recruited by LSU. We have a linebacker that's committed to LSU. His name is Dante Starks, and but this game will be won or lost up front. West Monroe is traditionally very physical up front on both sides of the ball, and so we'll have to match their intensity and their physicality in order to become victorious.
What has Travis Mumphrey meant to your program?
Travis Mumphrey has been very, very steady for us. Whenever you have a senior quarterback who has years of playing experience in big games, he can do nothing but help the cause. And so what he's done best this year is really played with poise, and it shows by his touchdown to turnover ratio. I believe he's over 20 plus touchdowns, and he's under 5 interceptions on the season. And so whenever you can take care of the football, you give yourself an opportunity to be successful.
Give us a breakdown of the seniors, juniors, and sophomores on your start lineup.
Okay, so we have a good number of seniors that are starters. Okay, we have some juniors mixed in, and we have one sophomore that's starting right now on defense. And so I think it's a good mix of guys with experience and guys who have been in some big games, and they're able to help the younger guys. And so we also have a situation where we have some older guys who finally get their opportunity to play, because at a place like John Ehret, you have to work your way up the depth chart, so to speak. So if you are a senior, it may be your first year starting. So yeah, you might be a senior, but the experience factor, is just not there. So we just try to coach them all the same, and we lean on the older guys with the experience to try to help out the others. Thank you.